Good morning and welcome to SEC's webinar on the LME7 Flame Safeguard. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us this morning. I'm Steve Danielak, one of the sales engineers at SEC, and I'll be your moderator today. I'm also joined this morning by my colleagues Aaron Zeller and Scott Fogel, and both of them will be making an appearance later. We often get complacent in assuming a flame safeguard is just another component within a combustion application. However, this is not the case. A flame safeguard is the heart of a combustion system and can either be a benefit or a huge detriment to the entire system as a whole. In a few moments, Aaron is going to explain how the LME7 can benefit both you and your business. Scott will then follow up with several tools we've developed to help aid in your familiarization and transition over to the LME7. These tools include training demos, Americanized literature, access to training videos on our YouTube channel, on-site training, and simplified wiring diagrams. In fact, SEC will even help convert your existing wiring diagrams to be LME7 compatible. SEC is more than happy to help through this process, which leads to our most effective tool of all, support all the way through product implementation. Those of you that have worked with us in the past, I'm sure you can attest to the statement that the three of us, along with the entire SEC team, are more than willing to assist you in becoming more confident and more comfortable during the transition to the LME7. Those that are relatively new and aren't as familiar with Siemens, I invite you to get to know us a bit more. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that introduction. And thank you to all of you for joining us for this webinar about the LME7. Very much appreciate you guys taking some time out of your schedule to join us. So let's get started. Unsupervised flames can be hazardous. Even the earliest humans knew that. As a result, burner flame supervision has been ubiquitous since before the invention of the flame rod. While the primary function of a burner flame safeguard has always been to control fuel in conjunction with the presence or absence of flame, these systems have changed quite a bit over time. That said, some of the most common flame safeguards in the US over the past 20 to 30 years haven't changed much at all, except to become more expensive, less reliable, and less available. Perhaps you've had to troubleshoot one of these systems using a multimeter while working your way through what is left of the original wiring diagram, or a system without a diagram or wire numbers at all, while you make your best guess at what exactly is connected to terminal 6 or between terminals 3 and P. Harder still if you're attempting to do this remotely with an exhausted maintenance person or an equipment operator on the other end of the phone. How many of you listening now have been in this situation? The person you're speaking with is ill-equipped to troubleshoot, frustrated that the burner won't run, and really doesn't understand what you're asking of them. Or maybe you're an OEM who has had your own equipment sitting on your own dock, unable to ship to your own customer because you're waiting on a flame safeguard that was promised weeks ago and still has not arrived. Perhaps you've even gone so far as buying it on eBay or finding other secondhand distribution sources to fill the need. Are you responsible for inventory or the costs associated with it? Why manage 4 to 6 different components per burner or burner system in order to meet application needs? If you're shipping equipment to Canada, Europe, or Asia, can you use the same flame safeguard and components that you use in North America? Well, with Siemens, you can. This is 2020. We can see inside our refrigerators using our phones. We can drive cars without touching the steering wheel. Why should we settle for antiquated burner flame safety devices? Sure, cost is always a concern. So what if I told you that Siemens can provide a highly capable burner flame safety control at an extremely competitive price? And we can supply it as quickly as tomorrow. Would it be worth learning a bit more? The answer to that question is obvious. Of course it is worth learning more. The flame safeguard is the heart of a typical burner system, far more detrimental or beneficial to the system than many other components. If selected and used correctly, it can absolutely be a benefit to your business. Significantly reduce your startup time and return calls. Improve the ease with which your technical support staff can assist your customers, either in person or remotely. Never be late on a project again because you can't get the flame safeguard. And one of my favorite quotes, which is often attributed to Einstein, is this: everything should be made as simple as possible, but no simpler. Albert Einstein is not particularly well known for his work in combustion, but even he knew that having a relay base, plus an amplifier card, plus a purge card, plus a display, plus a whole different set of each for different countries is certainly not as simple as possible, but no simpler. If I've done my job, and you're at least a little bit curious, you're going to love what Scott has to share next about just how easily SCC can guide you to success through this change.
You may be thinking, these benefits sound nice, but to make a change is challenging. I'll be the first to admit that change does come with challenges. I won't minimize the challenges, but I can say that we have done this before and we will stand by you all the way. This is why SCC has come up with tools in place to make the change go as smooth as we can. Over time, we've gotten feedback and have gotten better and better at making these transitions and changing a flame safeguard. There are tools that are readily available for making the transition to the LME7. These tools are for understanding flame safeguard, training purposes, and making the change to a new product easier. One of those tools is a demo. This demo can be used for a meeting where we could bring it into the office and as a group get a feel for the unit. This demo is helpful to understand what the flame safeguard does. There are switches on the right for each of the interlocks that you can have the unit fault and see the different faults, which is helpful for troubleshooting. There is also output lights, which give you a feel for the status of each of the outputs. There is a sticker on this demo that shows you the phase codes and fault codes. This sticker comes with every unit. You can also use this demo to get comfortable. We have units available for you to borrow for say a week or two, and you can play with the unit on your desk at your own time and pace. There's a remote display on the unit. The remote display allows you to change a parameter if you want to get into the heart of the unit and play around. These demos come in a nice black Pelican case, so it's very easy to ship these units around. One hurdle to change is drawings. As a free service, we can mark up current drawings to show how the LME7 flame safety wiring can fit into your unit. We can do two types of wiring markups. We'll call one type the wire-to-wire markup, and the other type is best use. The wire-to-wire markup uses the existing wiring, and we just shuffle around the current wires. This is helpful for a retrofit where you don't want to run new wires. The other markup is a best use. Best use markup utilizes the individual interlocks that the LME7 can take. Notably, if your current flame safeguard has a safety string with all those interlocks in a row. We break up those interlocks and individually wire them into the flame safeguard, which is helpful for fault enunciation. The LME7 will indicate what interlock caused the alarm. A common request we'll get is a sample to test it out. We will fulfill that request to get a sample unit in your lab. That sample unit is for you to keep so you can do endurance testing in the lab or even at a beta site if you would like. This sample helps you get a feel for the operation as well as a reliability test. When providing a sample solution, we do like to hear a testing plan of whether in the lab or at a customer site. We want to avoid the scenario of a sample sitting in a warehouse somewhere and collecting dust, which doesn't help either of us. So we do ask for a plan prior to providing a sample. Support is a strong pillar of SCC. We realize that something new comes with challenges, and especially out of the gate, there's unfamiliarity, which can be uncomfortable. Support is one of the major ways to ease that transition in terms of being comfortable with a new solution. We have several layers of support. We have local support through our representatives throughout the country. These representatives are great for being nearby and available. Also, you have factory support from the assigned account manager that you can reach out to directly. We also have a dedicated support line for you and your customers that is manned by a team of engineers ready to tackle any hiccups that may occur. The theme with support is that we are here for you and we will stand by you, especially when you are tackling something new. You can have comfort in that we have changed over customers again and again. We are proficient at handling some of the early challenges of converting to a new product. Every customer is unique, but similar hurdles come up again and again that we've learned from. Here are a couple of testimonials from customers that were able to improve their solution in converting to the LME7 Flame Safeguard. We will admit that there is a learning curve with the LME7 and that the support and tools available make all the difference in making the changeover go smooth. SCC has continually improved at this transition, which has resulted in reducing early implementation challenges. Our goal is for you, your team, and your customers to be comfortable and familiar with the LME7. Recently, we redid the LME7 literature. Occasionally with German manufacturers, the literature can be uncomfortable because of the different terminology or structure than what you may be used to. The new literature is structured in a way that we are generally used to and is easy to work through. There are sections that break up the literature and help find what topic or answer that you are looking for. Electronic versions are available on our website. We also have a nice spiral bound book. If you like a paper copy, you can send an email to your account manager, or when you fill out the review of this webinar, make a note about the technical instructions and we'll get you a copy. Along the lines of support, we are happy to conduct training at your site. Lunch and learns are pretty common, where we'll bring in food for the team and bring some trainers along for everyone to get familiar with the unit and field any questions or concerns you or the team may have. If you decide to test a sample in your lab, we can accompany you on the install and commissioning of the unit so we can get the LME7 up and running together. If you are close by or come through the Chicago area, we have a training room at our facility, which is shown in the picture here. You are welcome to come visit and use our trainer equipment. Particularly during COVID, we now have videos readily available on YouTube. These videos vary from long full training to short how-to clips. In the upper left corner, we have a 6-minute overview video. This briefly goes over what the LME7 does and some of the components. Next to this video is a full hour-long training video. This training dives into the details of the unit and uses the LME7 technical instructions as the guide to the training. I recommend to have the LME7 technical instructions for that training. We also did a troubleshooting video. For this one, we had the end user in mind. we talk about the LME7 being an alarm and how to get back up and running. For multi-burner applications, we created a template drawing and a video explanation of that template drawing. The bottom row of videos have the theme of short how-to clips. These are questions that we have gotten, so we decided to create videos to walk through those frequently asked questions. Sitting at your desk diving deep into the LME7, or on site and having a quick task, these videos are readily available for you. Here is a summary of the tools that are readily available for you. These tools are designed to make it easy to use our product, whether it be drawing related, sample, literature, training, YouTube videos, a demonstration, or techno support. We will stay with you all the way through transition. There has been instances where there was some integration challenges with the first startup, and SCC went to the site to iron out the details. If it takes jumping on a plane to get to the site for a clean startup, we will do it. One of the testimonials shown earlier, we flew out to California and helped out on the startup. We will stand by you. Showing all the tools available to you paints a picture that you don't have to feel burdened by making this change. Our hope is that you feel equipped and comfortable about making a change on your flame safety. So far, we have focused on business benefits and tools available. I'd like to take a moment and briefly go over the LME7 flame safety lineup. We have our basic flame safeguard. This flame safeguard is good for single burner or multi-burner applications. Its main purpose is to sequence through ignition safely and then monitor the flame and keeping the safety shutoff valves open. We have a flame safety with actuator control. This version is helpful for a package burner with a single actuator control or an air leading system with a ratio regulator. This flame safety will drive and improve the actuator for purge and ignition. Having the actuator controlled through the flame safety makes for a clean, packaged solution. We can also control a PWM blower. PWM stands for pulse width modulation. This is a form of VFD where the LME7 controls the speed of the blower. We have different flame detectors available, starting with flame rod, next is a standard UV scanner. We also have a self-checking UV scanner for continuous applications. Lastly, we have infrared scanner, which is also good for continuous applications.
All right. Well, thank you, Aaron and Scott. You guys both highlighted some really good points that are going to lead us right into our Q&A session. So let's get started here and do the best we can to answer as many of these as we can. So, all right. First question we have here is, can this flame safeguard talk to my PLC?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. That's a good question. I'll take that. In fact, just got a note from Scott. He's having a little audio problem all of a sudden. So apologize to those of you that had difficulty hearing Scott. Hopefully you're able to make it work. We'll take the questions from here. And if you guys had anything that we covered that you weren't sure you heard quite right, let us know and we'll make sure we get that to you, get the answers to you later. But regarding your question, can this flame safeguard, what was it? Can it talk to the PLC? Is that what you said, Steve?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Yeah, we get this question an awful lot, actually. And the answer is yes. So the LME7 is a little bit like the LMV3. It does not have a native communication protocol, but there is an additional module available called the OCI. And with that, you can communicate to a PLC or to any other equipment through either Modbus RTU or through BACnet MSTP.
All right, well, sweet. Thank you, Aaron.
Yep.
The next question we have is it's kind of a statement too. Offer sounds interesting. How long is it good for? I believe this is referring to the exclusive offer that we just mentioned.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a great question. So we don't have a defined expiration date on this offer, but we would certainly just ask you to be reasonable, right? If you guys, if somebody in the audience or several of you are intrigued by this, by the LME, and you're considering changing, discuss the idea with any other stakeholders or colleagues you have who would need to be involved in it, and then reach out to Scott, to Steve, or myself, and let us know kind of what you have in mind, and we can get started working on a plan. Um, I would say a year from now or 2 years from now, we may not be able to be quite as gracious with it, but certainly anytime in the coming weeks or months, we shouldn't have any issue making good on this deal. And we'd sure like the opportunity to help you guys take us up on our word and test us out.
All right. Well, that sounds pretty reasonable to me. Let's see. Another question we have is, so is the complete flame safeguard just one part number?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is. So the LME7, as shown in a few of those pictures, is one part number. And the reason we bring that up is to kind of contrast that against other flame safeguards, right? Ones with which we compete. There's not a relay base, there's not a purge card, there's not an amplifier card, there's not a separate display, there's not a separate remote reset module. All of that is contained in one part number. Now, there are different versions available, of course, for things like 220 volt or 110 volt, or if you need a version to control an actuator, or you need a version that's a simple single burner flame safeguard that doesn't control an actuator. There are different part numbers available, but yes, one part number gets everything that you need, except for the flame sensor, right? So you would need a flame rod or a scanner. And then there is an optional remote display as well. It's not required to make it operate, but there is an optional remote display, which would be I guess, a third part number beyond the flame sensor.
Okay. Let's see. I think we have time for one more here. Can the LME7 be commissioned using a laptop?
Yeah, that's a good question. It can. I don't personally prefer to do it that way, although some folks do. It's really a matter of personal preference. And when you say commissioned, I guess whoever asked this question, that's a great point that we didn't bring up very much. I'll touch on briefly. Since the LME7 is only one part number, and I guess let me rephrase it. Because it's only one part number, it is more of a software-based solution. So instead of having to use a different purge card, let's say if you want to change your purge time from 30 seconds to 60 seconds, you can just simply change that in the software, right? You can change that in the parameter settings. You can change other safety times as well, things like the trial for ignition time or the flame failure response time and things of that nature. Now, those are all password protected. Now, whether you're connected with a laptop or whether you're connected with the AZL remote display, you need to enter a password, and then you can access those parameters and make changes to them to commission the LME7 to meet your application requirements. So I personally prefer to do it on the AZL because it's quick and easy, but it certainly can be done with a laptop.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Aaron, for helping out with that, and Scott. I'm sure he had some difficulty, but thank you again as well. So, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Again, if you submitted a question and we weren't able to get to it, you can expect to hear from your SEC account manager within the next 24 hours, and they'll be more than happy to have a response for you and continue the conversation there. Also, please don't forget our exclusive offer. I want to reiterate the point that if you provide a drawing of your current flame safeguard setup, SEC will assist you in converting to the LME7 and provide you with a sample system to test. So thank you all again for joining us this morning. Stay healthy, stay safe, and have a great rest of your week.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.